So, okay. Now, Renzo told me that you've never been in a therapy session or something like
Never,
this. Never?
never. No, Anna has in the past. I have a few friends who have as well. I've talked openly to people about life and stuff like that, but never actually directly like with a therapist for an allotted period of time. So
Oh,
I think it'll be interesting. Feel free
okay.
to tear into me as you need. I'll certainly be honest, even though we're friends. But really stressful situation. I
Yeah,
mean, I'm trying to find more time to be with Anna and be
yeah,
able to have some more money and going through a difficult transition. So
yeah,
yeah, we can dig into it. Sure.
yeah. What do you expect?
Um, I hope to expect a little bit of clarity, maybe with how to use time a little bit better and to be able to, get through the difficult job transition that I'm
Yeah,
going through,
yeah.
and also to be able to lift the schedule up a little bit. It's really crazy, so
Okay. Okay.
hoping to have some more time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just to understand better your situation. So, I like to, in the beginning, I always like to have kind of an assessment of where you
hmm
are and what are you going through. So, just to help me understand, what is it that you're going through and what are the issues, the most important issues for you right now?
Yeah. So my work days have been 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. The beginning hours of my days are all project related. So I will focus on audio mixing, doing some freelance gigs, working on trying to develop a YouTube channel with who, and a few other different things. And then I'll take a quick lunch break. And then from about 4:30 until 10, sometimes 10:30, I would be working with a company that focuses on boat, yacht, and sailboat rentals and catamarans, really fancy boats that people can go on vacations for. Um, when I first joined, it was during the height of the pandemic, and they were curious to try to see if I would be a good fit. It turned out I was, and then they kind of sold it to me in a way that the commissions are really good. You're going to make a ton of money. This is going to be a good spot to be in. Quickly, I realized that wasn't the case. They put me in an hourly position. Um, my salary was okay for Spanish standards, but I'm pretty much working all day into super late at night and even focusing on some sales, and the sales commissions really aren't that great. But with what I was making in the mornings for my freelance gigs, kind of adding the morning pay in with this the salary from the boats, it turned out to be okay. It was, enough to get by, but I'm working way too much. I'm not really having enough time really for myself I'd like to be reading more, meditating, working out, spending time with my partner. That is really, really becoming a big problem. So I think last week, it was on Monday, I go into the office. It's this big fancy office that's right down the street. I get a call from the boss and he says, "You're doing so well at your job that you are working ahead of yourself into next year. And we love that, but because of that, there's less work. So we're going to cut your hours. And on top of cutting your hours, we're also going to only put you to be on commission for sales. So I have to work quite still a handful of hours, but every day I'm making about $18, 18 euros a day plus potential commissions, but the commissions are really bad because the clients aren't really ready to buy a boat. They're more curious.
Okay.
So the commissions are really tough. So I need to call hundreds of people a day and say, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And they say, "No, I was just looking. I'm just curious. Sailing on a boat is a sexy idea, but I don't want to put the money down."
Yeah.
So it's a lot of wasted effort because the clients aren't really serious. They're just curious because it's a fun idea. So it's positioned to where all my time falls on my freelancing gigs And now I'm realizing, I'm only making about 18 euros a day in spending an enormous amount of time. And I think it's just a matter of weeks or months before they probably let me go completely. So I'm at this spot to try to find a better transition while still being financially okay, but getting through all of that stress and trying to leave myself. I mean, I wouldn't want to be there the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at. It's, I'm just now starting to do this reduced hours, reduced pay, but it's still the same amount of work.
Yeah.
And I'd like to back out of that and maybe try to double down on projects and things that I'm more passionate about that could hopefully make me an even higher salary.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at, trying to transition a little bit into finding better opportunities that that allow me to have more passionate work and also higher income. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I understand. Something that caught my attention. You described me the situation very well.
Mm-hmm.
Yet you didn't tell me anything about how did you take this news, because if I put myself in your shoes, I think that I wouldn't have a reaction, or I would have feel like, okay, maybe I'm a little scared here.
Yeah.
But what about you? How did you take the news? How did you digest it?
Yeah. Yeah, so I was in the main office with a few other workers. My boss at the time was working at home. He called me on my phone, and I'm like, oh, okay, hey, it's the boss. I answer, and he says, hey, are you in the office? Yeah, I'm in the office. And he says, can you go to a private conference room so I can talk to you? And I'm thinking, oh, shit, okay. And then I said, oh, do you want me to, take my computer with me so that if we need to look over some information? And he says, no, just go into a conference room. And I'm thinking, oh shit. Okay, so I go into a room and I sit down. I'm by myself, and I have the conversation with him, and he pretty much says what I described to you.
Yeah.
You're doing really great, so great that we have less work and we're cutting your hours big time. So at the time I was like, oh shit. But to answer your question, how I felt was a little worried, but I was kind of expecting it because I've only been there for 2 years, but I have seen them cut people like instantly.
Yeah.
Like I've seen them break off workers. Like you go in on Monday thinking you're going to go through the whole week, and I've seen people who have worked there for years and they say, actually, we're going to let you go.
Yeah.
Like because of really intense reasons. Somebody, for example, their mom, it was about a 45-year-old woman. Her mom died. And her mom died in the house with her. And she was so mentally distraught from that. She requested to work from home, and she needed some time off to cope with the loss of her mother. She was gone for one too many days. She needed to process.
Yeah.
And they told her, hey, you're not mentally stable. You're done. And they kicked her because of that. So I always kind of thought it was going to eventually be my turn to have my head in the guillotine. So I was kind of expecting it, but when I got like the call, it made me feel like, okay, my head is now like in the guillotine.
Okay.
The blade hasn't come down, but like my hours are reduced. So like it was kind of like an expected, like at some point it was probably going to happen, but now it's kind of like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like I need to quickly transition to make something work before like the guillotine comes down. So that's kind of, it was unexpected, but very, made me very nervous at the same time.
Okay.
Or expected, but still made me nervous.
Okay. And you started all of this telling that you would really need to have to relieve some stress, have more time with your partner, have really a more normal life, that it's not all work, and then go back, sleep, eat, and then start over again. Now, for what I see, this thing that is happening to you yes, for sure, is putting you in a difficult position from an economic point of view, from a money point of view. On the other hand, this is a possibility for you
Mm-hmm.
for what I see, to start building something that it's more, I want to say, in harmony, in tune, or what you want, instead of with what you think you need to do in order to have the money that you want. Because to be honest, working those amount of hours and not having a life, not having time for yourself, I understand that it satisfies the need for security and stability. But if you really look at it, it was really doing that, like it was giving you that amount of safety compared to the amount of work and effort that you were putting in.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that it was very stressful to you. And yes, this is stressful too, having to reinvent yourself and refine the new balance.
Mm-hmm.
But looks to me like it's also a possibility. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I definitely think that it feels more like a possibility. Um, there's 4 projects that I really have my attention on. One of them is related to mixing audio projects for paid clients that I already have coming in on a regular basis. It's not enough to do full time, but it definitely helps kind of with that salary. So that's one. The second one is trying to focus on another production services related business that I'm working on with a colleague of mine who's based in Los Angeles. So we're very close to developing that, and well, we have been for years, but we're close to launching probably within the next couple of months. Like it's been leading up years of work have been leading up to launching, and I think we're finally ready in the next few months. So that's the second one, and that would be high ticket offers. So I think it could help. The third one is trying to develop a technology related YouTube channel with somebody who you may or may not know. And then the fourth one that I'm trying to look at is a new opportunity where I've invested in a course which helps me learn how to set appointments and sales for high ticketed services like coaches and other types of services that are thousands of dollars, which I already kind of have an understanding of coming from the boating and the yachting world. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to get another job placement or a job opportunity after I finish that course, because they do have a job placement program within that course. So ideally, I'm thinking, like you mentioned, it is a transition, but I would love to be able to do those 4 things that I mentioned, like 6 days a week, but just not working so late. Like I'd like to be able to come home and, have time to take care of my house, take care of my own physical, mental health, and also have more time to be with my partner or take more off days so that, we could be able to do things together, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And do you think that if you, let's say that you don't have the work with the boat thing, okay? Let's say that
Mm-hmm.
you don't have it, and you are spending your week working on these 4 projects that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you will still find yourself in a situation where you don't have time to live or not?
I think that I'll still need to dedicate a lot of time to it, but I think there will be some more flexibility as well. Even as, if you are a business owner yourself, you find, yes, it is a lot of work that you have to focus on if you're managing your own business or your own courses or services or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of work and time that you have to put into it. But if something really comes up, or if you get really burnt out or something happens, you can kind of put the brakes on it and be a little flexible or open up a pocket of time if you need to.
Yeah.
But for me, I would love to still be working at it, but be able to give maybe only work 5 days a week instead of 6, or be able to finish at 8 o'clock instead of, 10:30
Yeah,
or
this for
something like
yourself.
that.
This by working for
Yeah,
yourself.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Have you ever find yourself in the situation of having to manage yourself in a work life, like having to take care of your own business and also your private life, so finding a balance there?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing side projects and making like freelance or autonomo income, since I was, I think, 18 or 19. So yeah, so I've definitely been doing it for a really, really long time. But I think I could still manage my time a little bit better. Like it's really hard for me to morning. I have been trying to practice, and I've been getting a little bit better at it, because I've always been more active and inspired to work at night when I was younger. But as I get older, I feel that it's more healthier to unwind at
Yeah,
night and
yeah.
be able to like be at the home and kind of that scenario. So yeah, I do have experience with it, but I mean, time management is still really important as well, that I would need to accomplish better to be able to make these goals more realistic. I think, at least. I don't know.
Okay. And would you say that the biggest issue is the morning?
Yeah, the mornings are really tough. Like, I really admire people who get up super early, and are able to see the sunset and that kind of thing. But it's super difficult now because my partner and I, we don't go to sleep until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and
Yeah.
then we're forcing ourselves to wake up between like 9 and 10 a.m.
Yes.
And for me, even like, I'm lucky if I'm able to get up before 10 a.m., but it's really hard. But I feel rewarded when I do, but I feel like shit for the first like 2 or 3 hours of the day. Like, if I
Okay.
get up at 9:30, I feel like garbage for the first 2 hours of the
Of
day.
course, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Well,
yeah,
before we go into the juicy part, like
sure.
where we try to find solution for
Mhm.
again for this morning and stuff, tell me something. Do you think that you could afford to be the one to leave the work instead of waiting for them to let you go? The job that you're doing.
Uh,
Because I don't know your situation, so do you think you
yeah.
can afford it?
Like, are you saying if I quit right now, if I
Yeah.
could? Um, well, to put it into perspective, I mean, if I'm making about $18 a day for a month of work, I calculated it out. It's about 350 euros. So that, I mean, and I'm making my other income from the freelancing gigs, but it would be super brutal. So I'm kind of at this point to where, I have one of the four sort of branches of
Yeah.
projects that I have. One of those four is making steady monthly income. It fluctuates. Sometimes it's a lot more, sometimes it's a lot less. That's just how freelancing is. But one of those is on a monthly basis bringing in more revenue. So of the other four that I'm looking at, I'm at a point where I feel like I need to push at least one or two more of those projects to be having some little bit of income that's
Yeah.
coming in, for me to feel confident to leave
Yeah.
before they kick me out.
Of
So
course.
I would love to quit the boat thing within, I would say, before spring of next year. I think sometime between maybe January, February, March, April, like somewhere in that time frame, I would like to leave if they don't kick me out first.
Yeah.
But I need to still have time to be able to like develop another one of those projects to have a little bit of money that's coming in.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think all three of them, I think they're ripe enough to have potential between, um, the production services thing that I'm working on in Los Angeles, the YouTube channel that I'm working on with a good friend of mine here locally, and then also, the high ticket sales and appointment setting thing, that has a potential for a job placement. I think all three of those are ripe, but it's just pushing it a little bit more and as soon as possible to be able to have a little bit more of a drip, and then I think I'd be okay to fully leave, and try something different.
But also they reduced your hours, right? So you don't have to be there for the same amount of hours you've been there until now.
Yeah, well, it's weird because the job requires two part. Well, they have me doing three things, but so they want me to work on customer support, talking with English clients, and then also helping out with some marketing campaigns a little bit, like writing some content. Mm-hmm. That is paid hourly, $9 an hour. Mm-hmm. So, and that's for 2 hours a day. So $18 is not great. The rest of my time, they give me leads of people to call, but the leads are very cold. Like they show a little bit of interest online or in an email newsletter, but they aren't like really, really ready to, spend 20,000 euros on a yacht vacation. So that time that I spend calling 100 people every night, trying to get people to answer and sell them something, that's not paid anymore. It used to be, now it's not. It's only commission, and the leads are really bad. They don't put the attention towards the marketing in, so they're just ice cold, and it's a huge time waster. So that also leaves me really unmotivated as well. So I guess maybe I would be able to have an extra hour because I'm not doing as many calls, but it's pretty close to the same time that I would already be working, but a lot less money.
Wow.
And I do plan to have a conversation with my direct supervisor. My direct supervisor, I don't want to name, but she is an absolute sweetheart, and we work together really well. We joke together a lot, and we kind of bullshit around and also get work done efficiently. She's on vacation right now to another country. She's been gone for 2 weeks or so. She's going to be coming back, I guess, any day now, and we'll have another connecting conversation. And I'm also trying to think, wow, like, what am I going to tell her? I guess I should be honest with how I feel, but like, that's going to be another conversation because she's going to ask how things went. And I'm sure that my hours getting cut are a surprise to her as well, because I help her a lot with her job. Yeah. So she's probably going to be stressed too about my hours getting cut, but we'll see.
Yeah. So what the situation that you have here is, it's kind of difficult, meaning that you would like to have more time with your partner and for yourself, but the hours in a day are those hours. You can't add more hours. Mm-hmm. So my question is, it seems to me that there is an ideal situation that you would like, but in the practical situation, you don't really have a lot of things to move around to make it happen. Meaning that how can you put together the fact that you want more time to live your life, but you are still working basically from when you wake up to 10 p.m. in the evening?
Correct.
So that's what I'm asking. Like, I understand that you want to wake up better and to be more energetic, and that we can work on that. But if you aim to something, that's fine. The problem is that if you can't adjust the things in your life, that's gonna be difficult for you to get what you want, and you will stay in a constant state of frustration because you want to have more time with your partner and you want to have more time to live your life. Mm-hmm. So what I'm asking here is, what's the mindset behind all of that? What is it that you are, how can I say, what I understand the money part, okay? Mm-hmm. But how do you plan to get where you want if you keep staying stuck in a situation? that it
Mhm.
doesn't satisfy you, it doesn't make you happy, and the only thing that it does is giving you a little bit, of safety.
Mhm.
What comes to mind is, if you spend all those hours that you spend on the both thing, for
Mhm.
example, by, I don't know, by trying to do more freelance work, by working more on your own business,
Mhm.
what will happen? Do you think that this will be possible or not?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'd like to believe that I'm a long-term optimist. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm also, I think that I'm a pretty analytical person in that
Yeah,
if something is not worth my time, like I'll acknowledge it and walk away.
yeah,
So I also understand what you mean by saying, like, if it's only a little bit of security, then, why aren't I walking away earlier? So I do get your perspective from that. To answer your question, yeah, I'm very convicted about like these other three projects. I think that I see a tremendous amount of potential in this YouTube channel that's being developed. The other partner that I'm working with that also sees something very similar. Likewise with my buddy in Los Angeles, who we're developing this high ticket service for music production in Los Angeles. I see, and I'm not going to get into the details, but it does seem like there's a very good system in place that could bring in a reasonable amount of income from that. And then I'm also pretty convicted regarding this high ticket appointment setting course that I'm taking as well. There's a lot of testimonials that show people are making, $2,000 to $10,000 a month,
yeah,
which is intense. And I mean, you're pretty much just talking with people.
yeah,
So I think like I said, ideally, if I could build those four things and do them full time, like work on a few hours for project one, a couple hours for project two, a few for number three and number four, like even 5 or 6 days a week, I think it could be very lucrative, which would really be able to help you make a lot of money and also be able to open up a lot more time.
yeah.
Um,
But do you have those hours in the week? Do you have them? Do you think
yeah,
you
so
can?
Yeah, so like right now, for example, like I'll try to wake up between 9 and 10. The only thing is I don't have a morning routine because I struggle with that. But so I'll literally roll my ass up out of bed, make coffee, sit down on the couch, and
Yeah,
immediately like answer because my partner, the time zone in Los Angeles is way,
yeah.
way, way, way different. So he'll send me tons of messages at 4 in the morning. So I
Oof.
wake up and now I'm like instantly into, okay, what did he say here? Like, oh man. So now I'm like into really intense messages on the phone. I'm
Yeah.
sitting down and trying to like do projects and editing on the computer. And I'll do that all the way up until lunch. So I'm conscious for maybe 10, 15 minutes before I'm like right into the workday,
Wow.
which I know is really shitty. So
Yeah.
I acknowledge it's shitty, but that's it's the way it is for right
Okay.
now.
So
So
do you, so
yeah,
you so you do realize that
I
maybe
do. Oh
you will
yeah,
be
yeah.
more, I don't like the word efficient, but let's use
Hmm.
it, more efficient in the morning
Yeah.
if you had a better morning, let's call it, okay?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I acknowledge it. Yeah, it's a problem.
The thing is that if you, in the ideal world, uh,
Hmm.
a whole hour to wake up and be ready, that would be wonderful. The thing
Hmm.
is that it's not a lot about the amount of time that you are awake before you start to work.
Hmm.
It's more about how how you do and what you do from when you open your eyes to when you are starting to do your things in the morning.
Hmm.
There is a lot of difference between waking up, having even a 10 minute small night morning routine and
Hmm.
then starting to work, and waking up, open your eyes, like drinking coffee
Hmm.
and looking at your phone.
Yeah.
And that's because the way your brain works, for the way your brain works, you can't just wake up and be ready to be active, to take action.
Mm-hmm.
You need to kind of accompany your brain from the more slow and calm state, that's the sleeping part, to a state when you are awake and your brain understands that you are awake.
Mm-hmm.
What you do right now, what you're doing, is that you are just taking your brain and throwing it into action, like, now let's work for me, and you have to do it.
Yeah.
That's not very useful. I mean, it is useful on the spot, meaning that for a couple of hours you can be active, but then you
Mm-hmm.
have to fight against the fact that your brain is tired.
Right.
So if you set the pace of your day like this, it's no wonder that you get to the end of your day and you are just dead tired.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have the capacity, the cognitive capacity, to think about a better way to end and start your day.
Yeah.
So, as I told you before, the morning routine is effective if at least 80% of the day you are able to sleep enough, to sleep well. So let's put your morning routine in a pause state for now and go
Mm-hmm.
back to the sleep part. Do you
Mm-hmm.
sleep? I don't think you sleep enough, but do you sleep well at least?
Yeah, I mean, I think I sleep all right. The thing is, I mean, I'll have a lot of coffee throughout the day, and I've always been used to, uh, especially when I live by myself, like I would be used to working most effectively super late at night. So, and of course, I know, again, I acknowledge that substances aren't great, but I've always been very used to, especially working in a creative field. In my younger days, I would still have coffee throughout the whole day. And I'm a pretty big fan of cannabis, so I would smoke in the evenings and at night, especially when I was living by myself or living with other roommates. And I would get to work, and that, like, to me at least, was like the opposite effect of where, instead of feeling like I was melting on the couch, I was more intrigued to focus on work. So I think like the delayed effects of caffeine from coffee with the psychoactive effects of cannabis later on in the night mixed in a very weird way that would encourage me to like work super hard until 3 or 4 in the morning. And this was a big part of my life from 18 to early 20s. And then I started to realize, okay, like I can be a lot more effective if I don't do that. So I've stopped doing that in very recent years,
Yeah.
or in the past few years, I should say. So I don't really work super hard like late at night. And I'm not necessarily combining those two while I'm trying to work, because I realize I can do a better job than that. But um, yeah, like in terms of my quality of sleep, like when I'm laying in bed, I still feel that my mind is like racing a
Yeah.
lot in
Yeah.
terms of like I'm thinking of a million things, and eventually I'll just like black out.
Yeah.
There have been times in my life to where I've tried to develop a habit of meditating while laying in bed, like with the like trying to fall asleep, but focusing on a meditative routine while I'm just like laying on my back or just laying in bed with my partner, like in my mind, trying to go through like a particular meditative routine. And those have been really pleasant in the past, but I haven't really done that for more than like a few days or weeks at a time. So like that good habit kind of fell off. Um, Occasionally too, I also try to read at night. I like reading educational stuff. I don't read like fiction and that kind of thing. Like I like reading history and philosophy and like really complicated stuff to learn, but it makes me sleepy. So like I'll try to read those kind of books at night, which is probably counterintuitive because my brain is like activating about thinking about these things. But that's my excuse to try to learn a little bit and then not be like looking at this in bed
Yeah.
or that kind of thing. So Yeah, it's interesting.
Mm,
Quality of sleep, I don't know. I mean, I still feel like shit when I wake up. I think I sleep okay, but
mm,
it's really hard to like get up and out of
yeah.
bed, and I'll hit like snooze on the alarm a lot and stuff.
Mm.
So I
Uh,
get up, but it's always an internal fight with myself. So
of course. And,
yeah.
for what is my personal and professional experience,
Mhm.
um, when a person has a very active mind, like a spinning mind that doesn't stop and that likes to find entertainment instead of relax, usually sleep is not the best.
Mhm.
Because for your brain, in order for your brain to proper recharge and be refreshed in the morning, your mind needs to calm down, needs to stay quiet. Those racing thoughts that you have at the end of the day, they are the result of all your day, your whole day, because you've been hyperactive all day long. Then you
Mhm.
go to bed and you just want to turn it off like it was a switch. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. And I feel that that's why people, at the end of the day, they end up using substances to help them
Mhm.
slow down. So it is true at some level that substances are not the best solution ever. But in my opinion, if you need something, especially in a very difficult period of your life, to help your mind to slow down a little bit,
Mhm.
that's not so bad. That's not very. It's not something that you really want to judge. Of
Mhm.
course, if we are talking about harmful drugs like benzodiazepine and stuff like
Right.
that,
Mhm.
that's not very good because they're addictive. They're very bad for your health. If we are talking about other things that helps your
Mhm.
mind to calm down, that's okay. The
Mhm.
thing here, though, is that if you if when you go to sleep, you use your mind again, and you keep using your mind to read things that you need to remember because we are actually studying. You're not
Right.
reading
Mhm.
for, to let your mind go free. You're actually focusing more on something that requires attention. Then it's very difficult for your mind to calm down.
Right. Mhm.
And one of the reasons that meditation doesn't always work at night. I don't know about you, but sometimes for
Mhm.
me meditation doesn't work to calm me down. It doesn't help me to silence my mind, and that's because actually meditation it's a focus training.
Yeah.
It's a training when your mind likes
Mhm.
to go around and then you take your mind and say, hey, no, stay here. We're waiting. That's the real meditation, right? We're
Right.
meditating.
Mhm.
That's the real exercise. This is called focus defocus meditation. And this is a focus this is a meditation that is designed to increase your focus, which is the opposite of sleep.
Mhm.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what you want is to defocus. Keep in
Right. That makes
mind,
sense.
though, that what your brain would like to do is what it is used to do. So it will never naturally or spontaneously ask you, hey, Brian, what do you think about some relaxing time? It will
Yeah.
never do that. It will always ask for what is familiar for it.
Mhm.
Seems to me that for you, for your brain, familiar means let's be active. Let's think about things.
Mhm.
Let's analyze something. So that's what your brain wants to do at the end of the day.
Right. I find myself like the analyzing thoughts in bed are to prepare for when I wake up and like get started with how can I be as efficient as possible in that small period of time in the morning when I have to
Yeah,
do all those projects. So
yeah,
like, I'll build my to-do list and my calendar and then I'll lay down, but then I like really think about everything that I just scheduled of to try, thinking how efficient as possible can I be with this? And then that just kind of like will
yeah,
spiral until
yeah.
I just eventually fall asleep. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So
Mhm.
it is not that there is something, it is not that it's you. It's not something that doesn't work with you. It
Mhm.
is just the way you are using this beautiful machine that you have, that it's your brain.
Mhm.
If you have a Ferrari, but you don't know how to drive it, you know, it's not gonna be so much
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
Your brain really is a wonderful tool, but if you use it like um, if you use it like you've always done, because that's what we do as human, we tend
Mhm.
to use our brain the same way that we have always done, then you're not gonna have the benefit that you can have, like for example being really energetic, fresh and ready to tackle the day in the morning. There's no amount of good morning routine that can save you if your poor brain is not rested.
Right. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. A funny thing is that I don't know if you know that, but that's just a little nerdy thing. But
Mm.
it's nice to know. The whole body during the night detoxifies by the lymphatic systems. Means
Mhm.
that every toxins and debris, it gets put out, and the lymphatic system will detoxify the brain, the
Okay.
body. The brain is the only organ that doesn't have access to the lymphatic brain because it has a system on its own. The funny thing is that this system is only active at night at certain hours, so the only chance that the brain gets to really detoxify itself and clean itself is at night if you have proper sleep.
That makes sense.
If you don't have it,
Interesting.
you're gonna have brain fog in the morning,
Which is every morning.
which is
Yeah.
just the results
Sure.
of your brain not being rested enough. And the problem with that is that the less rested your brain it is, the more difficult it will be for you to clearly think about your situation and your next steps, which is critical for you right now because you are in a transition phase and you really want to take good decisions for yourself, not decisions based on a very tired brain.
Mhm. So do you think, because I mean, I really do enjoy reading the types of book, like a lot
Yeah,
of self-help and
yeah,
psychology and even, learning new skills about like marketing and sales and a lot about like ancient history. That's the kind of stuff that I really like to read.
yeah.
Um, and I usually do at night. I would like to a little more in the morning. Maybe that's better to kind of jump start the brain in the morning. But do you think because it still takes focus to read something, do you think that reading in bed generally is not good, or should it be like fiction and just kind of like
Yeah,
bullshit, like whatever stories to help you
yeah.
like get tired, or no reading, do you think?
No, it's a great question. I think that reading is okay, but it is important that it's not the last thing that you do before falling asleep.
Does that include if I'm still reading the same types of books like self-help or like kind of studying through something? Because I read with a highlighter. Like
Yeah,
because they are educational books, I read very slow. I'll
yeah,
read paragraphs more than
yeah,
once and I highlight
yeah,
to keep them, if I want to reference them in a year or two on a bookshelf.
yeah.
Do you think that that's probably better to do in the morning or?
Well, you can. This is a great question because if you look at the best night routine that you can have, okay, the best night routine that you can have different steps. One of
Mhm.
these steps can be do something that you enjoy before starting to really unwind before sleep. So if reading those books are something that really gives you pleasure, that you enjoy doing it, maybe that is not relaxing for you, but can be one of the steps. So
Hmm.
you can have maybe 20 minutes of reading your book, but then it
Yeah.
will be better if you can have a step when you do something that relaxes you. Because reading
Hmm.
the way you read, it doesn't feel like something unwinding,
Yeah.
right?
No, yeah. I mean, I find it fascinating, and I think it's definitely better than just looking at social media on, your
Yeah,
phone, especially with the light. So I do try to not look at social media light so much, like while I'm in bed. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy the reading, but I understand your point about maybe it's too much of keeping the brain
yeah,
active.
it is, it
Um,
is.
yeah.
Do you have, what is a relaxing activity for you? What do you feel the more relaxed?
Hmm. For relaxed, I mean, you know, I think I think having a conversation with my partner is relaxing, like as long as it's not about like, like money or anything like that, like particularly stressful topics. Like I think we talk really nicely together just about like general things. So I think that that can be like
Yes.
relaxing. And if it's like playful conversation, then yeah, I think that that's one of them. Another one that's a little more stereotypical would be like, watching something on Netflix, for example. But I, and my partner and I will do that at night. But it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a passive activity. You're still looking at a screen. So I mean, you're probably
Yeah,
being affected by that light.
yes.
It's entertaining, but you're really not gaining a whole lot of like value per se. So I mean, yeah, it's relaxing, but I don't know if it would necessarily be the best thing.
Yeah,
Um, Sometimes we'll play like games on our phone, but they're like really intense, high energy games. So you're kind of like, oh, like
yeah.
super in the moment to like trying to win a match or something. So that's probably, it's exciting and fun, but it's not, I wouldn't say that it's relaxing necessarily because you're more like
Hmm.
elevated towards playing something.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's kind of the idea.
So it feels like, from what I see, feels that relaxing is not really something that, the relax is not something that it is really embedded
Hmm.
in your day. Like
It's
if
more
I,
exciting, yeah,
yeah,
than
it's entertainment.
relaxing.
People tend to
Hmm.
confuse entertaining with relaxing, like what you
Right.
said,
Hmm.
Netflix and chill and watch but that is not relaxing. That is entertaining your mind,
Hmm.
giving your mind something to think about. I work with a girl, and this girl, she was one of those. She was very young, but she was one of those girls that I don't think that she really knew what relax was, because when I
Hmm.
asked her, she told me, "Yeah, my time for relaxing when I play my game on my iPad."
Right.
So what I did was I asked her, "Have you ever been to a spa?" And she told me, "No, never." Okay, I told her, "So you can go to a spa and then we talk." So she
Yeah.
went to a spa, and the next time she told me, Danny, I think I've never been so relaxed in my life.
It's
That
awesome.
was a relaxing point that I've never touched
Hmm.
in my life. And that for her really changed the game.
Right.
So what I think that it's really missing, maybe for you, it's finding something that really helps you to relax.
Hmm.
Relax is when you are able to stay with your arm like this on the floor or on the bed, listening to
Yeah.
music and kind of melt.
Yeah. I
Is
agree.
this something that you have ever done maybe when you were younger and you lost this habit?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, again, for me, and I don't mean to go back to negative things, but
No,
it's
you
just it is
should.
what it is. I mean,
Yes.
I've been I don't know if addiction is necessarily the proper term, but I've certainly been a fan of cannabis since I was like
I
15.
wonder why. Maybe it's the
Yeah,
missing part of relaxation.
yeah. So like, yeah, but I mean, I've never been a big drinker. I
Yeah,
don't really support hard drugs or anything
yeah,
like that. But um, yeah, I have always kind of used cannabis to either relax, like to
yeah,
just really chill, or the opposite, depending on what it is, to where I'm more excited to like do creative work.
yeah,
Kind of one or the other, depending on, what strain of cannabis you might be smoking. It's kind of,
yeah.
more in the head and gets you excited or gets you relaxed. So
Yeah.
depending, but yeah, so I mean, that always kind of has been with me since I was about 15 and a half, 16 or so, which again, I'm not condoning it for anyone,
Well,
but,
it is.
hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
my point is that if you had that tool
Hmm.
in your bag and you use it, meaning that it was useful for you, you will
Hmm.
need that for focus and creativity, but also for relaxation. And you take it off and you say, I don't want to use it anymore,
Right.
but you don't substitute with something that provides the same service,
Hmm.
in this case relaxation. You are left without the only thing that is relaxing for you, and with no relaxing your life.
Hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. So if you focus only on how can I be more productive, how can I do more, but you don't take care of really nourishing yourself, both in your head and your
Hmm.
soul and your body, in order to be more productive, you are gonna fail, because you're only human, and you can't be all work without taking
Hmm.
care of the relaxation part. If we want to talk more in a holistic way, but also in a physiological way, your nervous
Hmm.
system needs that relaxation.
Right.
Right now you are living maybe only with the part of your nervous system that makes you active.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and this to me sounds like the reason why you feel sluggish in the morning. It's only normal. So for
Yeah.
you, the way to fix that blow in the morning is to work upstream, which
What do you
is
mean by upstream?
upstream, meaning that if you wake up in the morning,
Hmm.
you work upstream by really taking care of your sleep before taking care of your morning routine. Because a good morning, 50% part of a good morning routine is an excellent sleep.
Hmm.
So for what I would do if I was in your situation, it would be to try to do the best that I can with the time that I have at night, to follow like a little path that lead me from being active during the day to unwind and fall
Hmm.
asleep in a I want to say in a more gentle way for
Yeah.
your brain. I will suggest for you that you can keep reading your book,
Yeah,
but
of
then
course.
make so that that activity is followed by something that is relaxing and not activating for you, not something that
Okay.
activates you. So the conversation with your partner sounds nice, because you can laugh, right? You can
Yeah.
listen, you can talk. I imagine that you do it with dim lights and in a very
Yeah.
cozy atmosphere, which is very nice. And maybe if she's open to it, you can also try to do something relaxing together. Like
Hmm.
there are a lot of um, guided relaxation that you can follow
Hmm.
if you want to keep
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it with her. Uh, the point here is try to make that transition smoother.
Right. That makes sense.
So you will find that when it's time to go to sleep, your mind is not spinning so much. It's going to be easier for you to stop it.
Okay.
Does this sound like something that you can try and implement?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think another one too, would you consider the activity of, and this is me being really goofy, but it just is what it is. We're both super big cat people. I know you have a cat as well.
Yes.
Like, I fucking love cats. I'm totally obsessed. I'm definitely a cat dad. We have two here. They're very cute and cuddly. They'll sleep with us, and they like to play as well. They're pretty young. So would you think that, like, because we'll try sometimes at night, like between Netflix or whatever, to like play with them with a string and stuff, that they are very active, but would you consider that that is a relaxing activity if you're not looking at screens or whatever, but more just spending time with two cats and a partner, like interacting with the animals, even
Yes.
though the animals are hyperactive and they need to get that work, you're still like sitting on the couch, like throwing a toy around or whatever. Would you
Yeah.
consider that as still being active, or is that just more
Mm.
passive because you're just kind of like
Yeah.
this and still like in the moment? What do you think about that?
Have you ever tried without Netflix? Have you ever tried to
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
do you feel relaxed after?
Um,
Or do you feel
I
happy?
mean, not, yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like relatively happy. I don't know if it's as relaxing as like a massage, for example.
Hmm. Have you ever
But
got a massage?
oh yeah, I'm trying. I've been trying to get one booked for like professionally for a while, but we're just being careful because of money. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love massage. Like a 30 or a 60-minute massage is
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you feel after a massage?
Oh, that's probably the most relaxed I've ever been. Like that for sure. Like, I mean, a professional massage. It's nice if like partners massage each other, but I think if you go to a proper spa, they have the meditation music, the lights, you go down and you just clock out for an hour while somebody's
Exactly.
working on your back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like, I think I couldn't imagine anything that's probably better than
Yes,
that, to be
yes.
honest.
Which leads
Yeah.
me to this other thing.
Hmm.
Most people, me included, we
Hmm.
fail with relaxation because we don't give it enough time.
Hmm.
For me, I noticed that I need a buffering time at least of 20 minutes, even 30 sometimes,
Hmm.
of when I am doing a relaxing activity for me to start feeling it.
Okay,
Okay,
interesting.
so if you want to relax at night, it would be great if you can cut out some times when you can immerse yourself into something relaxing. Now, playing with the cats, I think
Mhm.
that's fun and that can be entertaining, but I think that that can be the phase of entertainment of your night routine.
Mhm.
For the phase of relax, for the step when you want to be relaxed, you need to find something that it is not entertaining you. The cats
Yeah.
are still really entertaining, and I know because I
Right,
have
right.
it. For me, for example, sometimes Luna, my cat, she likes to
Mhm.
lay down close to me when maybe I'm like this on the bed. And if I
Mhm.
start cuddle her, that's very relaxing because she starts to
Yeah, yeah.
and that's very relaxing. But that's the difference. I would like for you to feel like you got a massage before you fall asleep.
Right. Okay.
So this is not easy. It takes some try to really understand what relaxes you, especially when you are in a couple. It's
Yeah.
difficult to find the balance. But for example, massaging yourself, you can massage her, she can
Mhm.
massage you. Find something, do the effort to find that something that melts you down.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I can try
and
that.
yeah, I think you can try. And by doing this, you should find yourself that in a, let's say, in a better condition to fall asleep, because your body
Mhm.
is, it already understood like, okay, now it's time to fall asleep. If you do so,
Right.
and I would like you to notice how your sleep goes and how you wake up in the morning, what happens when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the best part. And for the morning, since I don't think we have a lot of more time, but for the
It's
morning,
okay.
um, do you have a way not to jump into your phone as soon as you wake up? There is a way for you.
Mhm.
I
Yeah, I think it's just trying to get up a little bit earlier to be able to have that buffer time, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
I think if maybe you can have the relaxing part at night uh, a little bit more secured, then I think that'll make the morning a little bit easier to get up, have that buffer time of 20, 30 minutes
yeah,
to try to wake up a little bit, sit down and slowly kind of get into the day rather than rolling into it immediately.
yeah,
Sometimes I will do that, and I still feel like shit in the morning, but if I manage to get up at 8:30 or 9, I'll feel like trash for the first 2 hours. But, by the time lunchtime rolls around,
yeah,
I'm really grateful that I was able to get up earlier despite not feeling super great in the morning.
yeah,
So like I am thankful that I'm able to get up during those earlier times if I push myself, but it's just very, very uncomfortable.
yeah,
So I think like if I could wake up feeling fresh. And it's interesting because I drink a lot of coffee and a lot of water throughout the day. So I also find myself, maybe it's as I'm getting older too. I don't mean to be too much information, but I'll find myself having to,
yeah, wake up.
um, yeah, I find myself having to like wake up between like 4 and 7 in
Yeah,
the morning to go take a pee in the
yeah,
bathroom. And
yeah,
sometimes I find myself, my body wakes me up in the cycle of sleep to where I wake up and my body's like, hey, go pee. And I get up, I go to the bathroom, and I'm like, oh, I feel like really nice. Like I have to go to the bathroom, but my
you're
head,
awake.
yeah, my headspace is like, hey, I'm cool. Like this is fine.
Yeah,
So it's weird because then I'll go back to sleep and then I wake up 2 hours later and then I feel like total trash. So it
yeah,
sometimes makes me think maybe I should try to like if my body naturally wakes me up at 7 and I feel really good, maybe I
yeah.
should just like start the day then. I've never successfully done that. I've thought about it over the past month or so, but I always just end up going back to sleep, especially now that it's cold.
Cold,
I'm like,
yeah.
ugh. So,
I
yeah.
understand, but
Mhm.
this is not the first time that a night owl, because
Mhm.
I think you fall in the category
Oh
of
yeah,
night owl,
yeah.
has told me this, and I usually don't suggest this, but with you guys, with
Hmm.
people that feel alive at night, I think it's always useful to
Hmm.
experiment a little bit. So
Okay.
if you feel that you are awake, you are fresh and you are ready to go, you can wake up, do your thing, and if you feel like you're kind of tired, maybe around 8, 8:30, you can take a
Hmm.
little nap and see how it goes. Because
Yeah,
you
that makes
have to
sense.
find your sweet spot. You don't take for granted that what works for the majority of people will work also for you, because
Hmm.
maybe you are just made in another way.
Right.
If
Yeah,
you try to
maybe.
be one of those person that, I wake up and I see the sun, and every time and every morning at 8 a.m. I'm drinking my coffee with I don't know, with my cats,
Hmm.
that may not work for you, and you are setting yourself for failure instead of
Yeah.
success. So experiment with that, and maybe you find a sweet spot in your morning and you solve your problem with the
Hmm.
morning sluggishness.
Yeah, I think for the meanwhile, I think I'll try to do the relax a little bit more at night to try to capitalize on the mornings, and hopefully that'll make me a little bit more clear-headed to make proper decisions,
Yeah,
especially during the crazy time with the jobs and everything.
yeah. Do you have
Mhm.
this last thing, and then I let you go?
Mhm.
Do you have a plan for the morning? Like, do you know what to do and how to do it as a
Mhm.
morning routine?
I have written down quite a few morning routines that I've seen on like inspirational social media accounts and stuff, which seem awesome. Like wake up, little bit a glass of lemon water, have a little breakfast. So sit down, read for 15 minutes, write for 5, and then do 5 minutes of gratitude. That kind of like I have seen those. Reading it sounds awesome.
Do
And
it, man.
yeah, and then I wake up, I'm like, oh, fuck, this is crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I have like kind of something in mind that I would love to eventually get to like achieve and whatnot. But I think in the chaos of it all, it's a little bit more difficult to,
Yeah.
to realistically achieve that.
Yeah.
It's possible, but just got to get over it.
Well, don't try to get everything at once, because
Mhm.
those routines that you see out there, they are intimidating. They really are intimidating because
Yeah.
how do you do all those things in 1 hour? I will suggest just start with one thing.
Mhm.
One thing that you feel it's going to improve your morning routine. If it is not looking at your phone for at least 30 minutes before
Yeah.
or after waking up, that's it. That can be your rule for the next week, and that's it. And when you feel
Yeah.
confident with it, you're going to add something else, like maybe I do some jumping jacks when I wake up in the morning, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Mhm.
If you try to do everything, it's not going to work, I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, I understand. But I think I have felt that even if I'm able to get up 30 minutes earlier than normal and I still feel like shit, like I mentioned, when the day's half over, I look back at it and reflect and I'm like, yeah, it sucked, but I'm glad that I was able to get up just a little bit earlier. So I think
Yes.
that'll probably be the first thing that I can try to work on.
Yeah.
And then from there start adding a few other things. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll try the approach from like the backwards approach of trying to relax a little bit more at night to
Yeah.
try to help prepare for the morning.
Yeah. If I had
Yeah,
to let you go with just one piece of of
sure.
advice, it would be find what is relaxing for you. Really explore that part of your life,
I'll
because
write that down.
believe me, this is an epidemic. This is an epidemic. It's nobody knows how to relax, and you have to find what works for you. So
Yeah.
find what makes you in the same condition of a nice, good massage, and then use that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm writing that last bit down, so I guess that'll be my homework.
So, do you have any question for me? Maybe I had some doubts that are rising up.
No, I mean, I don't think I have any doubts. I think the biggest struggle is just the kind of the job transition to try
Yeah,
to be able to get the salary as strong as possible in the shortest amount of time,
yeah,
while also being, efficient with the mornings.
yeah,
So I think a lot of it might be a little bit more clear if I tackle the morning thing first,
I'm
which
sure.
backing up a little bit into the night prior might be a good place to start. So I really do appreciate the
Yeah.
help.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be rude, but shit happens.
Yeah, no, it's
And
okay.
the
Yeah.
thing is that you can't control what happens
Mhm.
out there. You can
Yeah.
only work on how you face what happens. So if you really take good care of the mindset that you have, the
Mhm.
body that you have, the mind that you have a lot of tools to face whatever the
Yeah.
life is, throwing at you. So
Mhm.
even if this is a transitional phase for you, I'm sure that if you feel more stable in yourself, you are able to have a clearer vision, an helicopter view of your life, and to take better decisions. So it's
Mhm.
only smart what you're doing, trying to really get in control
Yeah.
of how you work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. It's been a huge help. I'm definitely going to try. I'm going to try to analyze a little bit
Yeah.
just by myself what that might be in terms of what is relaxing.
Yeah.
I'll have a chat with my partner as well, so maybe we can kind of role play a little bit into seeing what that might be, like just generally in terms of the house as well, and maybe how to optimize the mornings and stuff. So
Yeah, exactly.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Danny.
You're very welcome. Feel free
Yeah.
to write to me on WhatsApp if something comes up and you want
Yeah,
any
of
suggestion,
course.
okay?
Yeah, absolutely.